Welcome everybody to another episode of Ryan the Game Show Guy. And with you today, I got ourselves a board game, a classic game that you can play with friends and family that I've converted into a game show or basically into a classroom experience. And what's great about this one is virtually all of the games that I put out are all review games. The classic, hey, show what you've learned over this unit or year or whatever you ultimately want to be able to do. But basically demonstrate what you've learned. This one's the opposite. Instead of being a review game, can you find out what they know ahead of time? I've tried some of these games in the past as a preview game, but it kind of falls flat when they don't know anything. But in this situation, what if they don't have to get the right answer because they can just make it all up? This is a super fun game, a game that I'm hoping can basically pique some interest in what you're about to learn, be it science and social studies or language arts, ultimately whatever you want to be able to do. But the idea about get them playing with those words, those people, those things that they're ultimately going to be learning about. And I think more importantly than that, have them get to do some collaborative experiences together. Have them have some fun. Have them work with each other. And in the end, have a little bit of fun. Because I think that's what such a huge part of all of these games are. So if you don't need to know anything, what's this game's all about? This game's all about lying or bluffing. This is one of my favorite games, folks. This game is called Balderdash. Hey everybody, yeah, Ryan the Game Show Guy. Thanks for checking out another one of our videos. I say our, but it's me. It's my video anyway. Spending time creating some more over the summer here, and I'm excited to be able to get some of these out to you. This is a game that I played just recently with my students in the spring and had just so much fun with doing this. And like a lot of my games, I do them with my classes, my students, and then how can I be able to strip what I've done out, put them into a template, and that's what you're ultimately going to see here and such. Now, although you're watching this on YouTube and and I'm walking you through it, I'm saying you can go be able to, get my this PowerPoint or Google Slide document on my Teachers Pay Teacher site. Feel free to do that. But as you watch this video, you realize you don't need any of this. This simply is just a game that you can build on your own. And it's actually a game that you don't even need to put anything up on the screen. This is just fun the way that it is. You could just do this as an audio game or build your own. Or if you want, you can get mine. You can get the bells and the whistles and all that jazz on that such. And so you can check to be able to check that out. The second thing I want you to be able to take note on this is that this game is super flexible. I don't want you to be like disheartened and go, man, like how... I'm supposed to be able to adapt it and change it. You're like, yeah, that's the whole point of it. Because I don't know what you're teaching. I don't know what your grade level. I don't know your student's ability. I don't know your time frame that you're working with. So it's super flexible and fun. You have some flexibility and fun in this thing, because I'm telling you, it's gonna be a lot of fun for you. The game's Balderdash. You know Balderdash? Balderdash is one of those not a super classic, but not a brand new game. The game came out in 1984. Two Canadian folks, what are their names? Laura Robinson and Paul Toyne created this game out of Canada, and found a lot of success in basically taking this idea of, can you take these obscure dictionary words that they had played with their friends, about flip open a dictionary and find some funny, crazy words that nobody's ever heard of before, and can you all just have some fun making up some definitions for them? And that in essence of the game, of what it is basically, what is this obscure thing that you don't know? So that's the whole point of why I like it as a preview. They don't know these things. Your students, some of them may know some of the facts and things that they're ultimately going to learn about, but most of it they're not. So let's have some fun playing with those things and have them guess about the terms, the people, places, events, all that sort of stuff that they're ultimately going to be doing. That was the game Balderdash. Lasted for a while in the 1980s. For me, the game that I really fell in love with wasn't necessarily Balderdash. Was its next iteration in 1993. A game called Beyond Balderdash comes out. What was great about this game is now. And Beyond Balderdash, it started to say, instead of necessarily everyone's just a word from the dictionary, now they had acronyms, they had dates, they had names, and the thing that really resonates to home for me in terms of what my passion is, and actually as you guys can see in my, what's behind me in my classroom here, is that I teach film and broadcasting, so movies and such. And so I think you can incorporate many of those into into the classroom experience. And so that's what I've kind of put together. It's called Balderdash, but it's a little bit based on Beyond Balderdash, which, by the way, if you buy Balderdash now, is actually Beyond Balderdash. They just got rid of that. Basically categories of what type of made-up things that you're ultimately going to be able to do and such. And so that's this fun game that you can kind of be able to play. And you're like, but hey, Ryan, aren't you the game show guy? And isn't this not a game show? Funny story. Like a lot of these games, it actually was a game show. It didn't last very long. I think in 2004, it was a TV game show that ran, I think, like 1 year. And the classic, let's put up some B-grade celebrities and have them come up with the fake definitions and have some game show contestants guess who's right, who's wrong, kind of a thing. So anyway, it's been both. One of the things that you may notice on this, I don't know if you played by yourself, but it's one of these games that, I don't know, I've played it a lot and I have tons of fun and laughing, but I don't know if this game even has an end. A lot of the games are like points and who's going to win, and this one is, yeah, it's often it just devolves into just, hey, that was fun and let's move on, kind of a thing. So I've incorporated points and game elements into this as well. And in doing it with my class, like I said, I did this in the spring and ran longer than I thought. So I tried to do it over 2 days. And one of the class periods, the second day, some stuff happened. We weren't able to get to it. And there was nobody really frustrated that the game didn't come to a completion because we just had fun doing it on day one. So anyway, let's jump into and see what the game is about and how you can be able to edit and modify and do it on your own. All right, like all my games, there's the bells and whistles. Let's throw this thing in the slideshow mode and you should be able to hear and see all the... I got some music to go with the game and... and it's Balderdash. Anyway, so what I have written here in the template that says Classroom Edition, this is where you go in and you can change it and put ultimately whatever you're doing. I would say you could do this in a couple different contexts. The two that I would primarily see this as is the start of a unit, to get them playing around with some of those words. Or I've not done this because I only did it in mid-year, but why not try this at the start of the year when kids are still trying to be able to don't know each other in class and you want to do some get to know you stuff and kids hate icebreakers and those force things. So let's put them and play a game into this thing. And as soon as you get the game elements, then people sort of strip away how they're supposed to act and feel. Anyway, stuff. So try that as an example. And that's the one I have one that I've already made. And then I'm going to demonstrate what that looks like as a start of a year. Okay, so if I jump in here, I have, like I mentioned, the Beyond Balderdash where there's categories. And so I have these different categories, which is there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different colors. Now, I'm going to pop back out of here and show you in the slideshow mode. These 5 different colors represent different types, or not types, what was that? Topics, if you would, about how to be able to play the game. You could have as many or as little as you want. This is where I mentioned before, how creative do you want to be able to be and make it your own. You could just do all the green type or just the red type, and I'll explain what those are. Or maybe I want to do a green and then a red and then a blue, or I want to do only 3 greens and then a blue. Okay, so feel free to kind of mix it up. I do like the idea when I played it is mixing them around a little bit so it's just not the same repetitive thing over and over again. And I have not, in me playing the game, I've not done a game where I incorporated all 5 types together. I've done it in two different classes, and in those classes I've modified which those are. So let me jump into what they are. But basically what you can see is I've created 7 template-y ones for green, 7 template red, 7 orange, 7 purple, and 7 blue. I'm going to get into them. You want more, you want less, you just duplicate the ones you want more of, you delete the ones that you don't, and move them around here in the slide sorter view to be able to put them wherever you want. I'm demonstrating this, by the way, in PowerPoint. Feel free, there's no bells and whistles that needs this to be PowerPoint or Google Slides or even Keynote, which I don't use, but anyway, yeah, it's just a slide deck with no animation, no sounds. Besides the sound and music on the opening slide, there's nothing else really to take note of or whatever. All right, so let's jump into the first one. So first one I call Bluff a Definition. This is the classic Balderdash, and basically you're going to show the teams a word. This is this word that most likely they don't know that you are going to cover. So you look at your study guide, you look at your glossary of things that they're going to be learning about in their upcoming class. We're going to be learning about photosynthesis, and they don't know what photosynthesis is, or They're going to be learning about, what's the other one that I just did? Bank run. We're doing one for the Great Depression or something like that. Anyway, so you're going to show them a word that they're not familiar with. Then what they need to be able to do is they're going to create the definition about this. This, folks, is really important. You are going to need, and they can use paper if they need be, but they can't be using, I often say, almost all my games you need whiteboards or whatever, and you don't need the class a whiteboard for each group. What you need are these things because, and it could just be strips of scrap paper, but basically they're going to be sticky notes, it could be, right? Doesn't necessarily matter, but they need to be able to write something down and then turn it in to you as the teacher so that we can now shuffle them around and not know what the correct answer is. Okay, so they are going to write in this first one, we're going to have a word on here, let's say photosynthesis. Then the kids need to then write down in a group, write down what the definition ultimately is. I'm saying try to be able to have that definition be somewhere between 15 to 30 words. And they're going to be able to kind of be getting together and write them down. Groupings. I talk about groupings, and this one is really pretty flexible. I would not do an individual where everybody's playing on their own. That's too many to be able, because you're going to have to read every single one of them. So you got a class of 30 kids. You're not going to be reading number 2, number 3, and they got to remember. A good number, somewhere between 3 to 6 is a good number of teams to be able to put them in. You could do more, but like I said, that just means more of these that you're going to ultimately have to read. I'm going to go with this idea. Let's say we have 6 teams in class. So you're going to, hey, everybody in six groups, you're all going to get up, have their pile of index cards. Here's the word photosynthesis, and write down your fake a definition of what this is. When they're done, they bring them all in, they give them to you as a teacher, and then you mix them all up, shuffle them around. All right, okay, everybody, now here comes the Balderdash stuff. I'm going to read these out loud. You, on another index card, okay, they're going to need to work on their own. They need to write down 2 separate things. Let me grab a pen here. One, they need to write down the correct answer, okay? Write down what that correct answer is ultimately going to be able to be. In order to be able to get the correct answer, since you're going to be reading a definition, you're going to want to be able to number them ahead of time, like this. Okay, so as they hand them to you, so they can, when they turn them in, the kids don't have to remember which one was which. You follow me on that? Because they're not writing a word. I've given them the word. They got to write down a long definition. So what is that definition? They don't need to repeat the definition. They just need to be able to say which one it was. Hey, everybody, was that the first one, the second one, or the third one? So my recommendation is, as the kids come up with they're going to write down the definition of what this is, and they hand it to you. My recommendation is that you take this as a teacher, and then you put a number on there. After you've mixed them all up, then you put numbers, so the kids won't know necessarily which theirs is. So then when it's time for you to be able to read them aloud, okay, everybody, here it is. Number one, the definition of photosynthesis is, and you read the fake one. And number 2, you pull that one out and then read the second one. Now in there, you have had to have done the correct answer. And so you have now, like a magician, you put that in there and you shuffle them all around. So basically they have all been mixed up. So then the kids, when it comes to them to start doing their answers, they're going to write down which one that they think it is. Hey guys, which one we think? We think it is number 1. Okay, shh. And then also they're going to huddle up, because they also need to keep track of every time, let's say this team thinks that the correct answer is number 1. Great. But theirs was the 4th. The one that they came up, the fake one, was the 4th answer. So as they're sitting there listening and somebody goes, I think the correct answer is number 4, what they need to do is I tell them to just put a tally mark. So let's say there has been 3 teams that thought that team number 4's was the correct answer. So I have them keep track on this little index card, however many that is. So let's say number 1 was the correct answer, and 3 teams picked Team 4's answer. So if I look at the math here on my score here, how many points did they get? Mark 1 point for every one that other teams guess. So that's 1, 2, 3 points. And they get 2 points because they actually guessed the right answer. So this team got 5 points. Then that's where you need to be able to have yourself a master score scoring, what's it called? Basically, where you keep a scoreboard. Yeah, scoreboard, there's the word. I like to use my whiteboard in the classroom, or you could have a big one or something like that, and be able to put that. So now team number 4, you guys got 5 points, and then we move on to the next one. That's Balderdash as it is. You give them the word, and they come up with the definition. Got it? So let me jump forward and show you what that looks like. Literally, it's going to be this. You put the word up here, and you say, go. This is number 1, everybody. First one. Okay, and then the answer to number 1, photosynthesis is, bum, 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 there it is, and that's kind of your reveal. You don't even need this, like I said. You could make your own, or you could just do it all audio. You don't necessarily need to have it be able to screen to be able to do it. And that's it. Now this is the first one. This one is the green questions. Now it's this one's a little bit more challenging because they got to come up with writing 15 to 10, 15, 20, 30 words about what a definition for this thing is. And based on your kid's skill level, are they able to do that? I don't know if they're that creative to be able to come up with that on their own. And they may struggle with that a little bit. So that's why I like to do groups. But the second one is the flip. It's the reverse of that. What if I give you the definition, they just got to come up with the word. So that's that's it. It's the same thing. Everything else is the same. Give them index cards. They get the same point scoring. And so now, let me show you, I've been talking about examples here. Let me show you this example that I have done for a U.S. history class. And in this one, what you'll see here is what I'm talking about. Here's this first one for a U.S. history class. So the word is trust busting. Then they need to be able to write down what they think trust busting is. Once we've collected them all, we've read all their answers, and the correct answer, everybody, is this is the government efforts to break up monopolies and promote competition. Yay! Okay, and so then they do that one. So you can see these are all just sort of going along that line of the term and the definition. Term and definition. Relatively simple to be able to do that. The second one's the opposite. Let me show you what the opposite looks like. Now, the first thing that you put up or you read or whatever is the definition itself. All right, next one, everybody, is we're doing this one. This round is called Bluff a Word. I'm going to give you the definition. You guys, as a class, need to come up with what this definition is. So here's the definition. Makeshift shanty towns built by homeless people during the Great Depression, and it was named after the person who was blamed for the economic crisis. So they're writing theirs down. This one, you don't need to do that numbering in the quarter because everybody's basically going to remember which one ultimately is theirs. And so let's say I'm going to put one down here. All right, you guys, they turn them all in and then you read them off. All right, everybody, is it Truman condos or is it, and you keep reading all the rest of them, next, 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 next. They still need to be able to do the same thing in terms of keep track of how many they got. The correct answer, everybody, is Hooverville. It's kind of hard to be able to see with me just kind of explaining it, but basically the magic is in the index cards and the back and forth of them coming up with them. All right, let me address something before I get to the other ones, which is this. What happens when they struggle? And you're going to have a lot of laughter in this. And in the laughter and the struggling and all that sort of stuff, you're going to find them at times. Some groups, and you have some of these kids in class, are going to not care about the game and want to have more fun than you're saying, let's have fun. Some kids want to be able to elevate the fun. And you can definitely do this in this game and this is what I mentioned before at the beginning, like what happens if this game just devolves into just laughter? And it can do that way. And I noticed this a little bit when I did it with my own class, is what if they just buy into doing more jokes? And they want to have more comedy and humor and all this sort of stuff. This is where you need to be able to interject in the beginning and also throughout it to be able to say that we're trying to be able to win and try to have fun with these things, but you want to be able to try to get, you want to try to be able to accurate as you can. Okay, and try to be able to be as realistic as you can. So work on those kind of skills ahead of time. You may want to be able to plan ahead a little bit with this game and practice a little bit of what it's like to come up with fake words and fake things like that. I would recommend that you could possibly use AI. AI is great at coming up with fake terms and fake words and fake definitions and all that. So you're like, hey, couldn't we just have a Chromebook out? But if you do, somebody's just going to quickly look up what a Hooverville really is and get the answer. You follow me? Or type in the definition. So you can't really have a device out because you can't necessarily trust that. But anyway, the biggest thing is that if you do see one come across then, and if you feel like it's crossed the line a little bit and kids are just trying to have too much fun and be goofy, you don't read it out loud and you just address it as a class, and then you burn that card. Hey, that group, we're not going to be doing that one, and we need to be able to learn, guys. You need to stay on topic. I want you to have fun, but let's stay on topic a little bit. So something to just be aware with this game, the fun is definitely increased pretty high. So anyway, you can see here, you throw in some stuff like that, all these kind of like you can put in, you know, the terms and whatnot. All right, next one is the purple ones, and I'm gonna have my example here. And the next one is, I'm gonna stick with my U.S. history one. And the next one is, and you could flip this both way too. This one, the example I have, and the one is just one way, which is same thing. What if I give you a person you've never heard of before, and let me tell you about what they've done. Here's this person, there's a photo of him. This is the journalist. This is a writer. This person wrote a book called The Jungle and was really kind of crazy. This book talked about the unsanitary conditions in the meatpacking industry, which affects us today because you don't want to go into McDonald's and see flies and stuff all over the place. And we kind of trust that restaurants and places are, anyway, that they're kind of clean and sanitary. And this was the first thing that really started that. See what I did there is, besides just reading it, you can add on to it and such. And so you can do that. Now, everybody, go to your things and come up with write the person's name. If people often struggle with coming up with fake words and definitions, it's much easier on people. People are way easier because we all know names. Coming up with fake words is a little bit more challenging because we're not really linguists, but we all have thousands of names we can think of and pull from and all that kind of stuff. You can mention your uncle's first name, and once you're, whatever kind of thing, oh great, and then you can ultimately put the name. Same as before, you get all of them and have them keep track using the exact same thing. All right, correct answer everybody is, and then on the next slide you simply just change that and put Upton Sinclair. Or you just flip it and do the opposite. What if I had this up first? Hey everybody, here's a person named Upton Sinclair. We're gonna learn about him in this upcoming unit. Did something really important. You've never heard the name before, have you? By the way, the people that you want to pick in here, don't put Martin Luther King. Don't put, famous people that we already know, like Oppenheimer. We're learning about science. Like, there was the whole movie about the guy. And he developed the atomic bomb. Maybe don't put Oppenheimer on there. Don't put the folks that they know. So this way you could put, you put the person on there and then have them come up with something interesting that they did. You can walk them through ahead of time, do some examples, like what did this person invent? You can talk about inventions, talk about those things. Hey, were they a scientist? Were they a journalist? Were they a politician? Were they somebody to do with pop culture, musician, actor, something along those lines? So that way you go, and who's that person? Let's read them all. And the answer is he's a journalist. He wrote about the meatpacking industry. Interesting. Did anybody have that one? Anyway, so here's just some people you can see that I put on. You can see, here he is. The definition, name, Langston Hughes, right? Kind of a thing. So that's we've gone through three of them. The green, which is the definition, the red, which is the word, the orange, you can do two different ways, which is the people and such. Now, within those, like I would say, once you start developing them, I can literally go in here and now let's say, okay, if I want to mix it up a little bit, I want to do a green one first, then I'm going to go take this Upton Sinclair, I'm going to I'm going to highlight those two and then move them up over here. So now I'm going to do a definition and a person and then a word and then mix them up that way, kind of a way to be able to play around with that. And you can see it's a simple, easy way to be able to just mix it up a little bit. Next level, you ready? You could be done. If you feel like this is fun, this is easy, boop, be done with it. You want more? You like movies? Now you're thinking, well, Ryan, you teach a film class. I don't teach film. I do science, or I'm teaching U.S. history. Great. Well, guess what? There's movies about those topics. What does he mean by that? Well, the movies are interesting because you all heard. History teachers, you ready? You've heard of a movie called Saving Private Ryan. There's movies your kids have never heard of. There's movies you've never heard of. And these movies are terrible. And so, in essence, it's a way to be able to, can you be able to theme some of these movies, and can they guess the plot of the movie, or can they create the title of the movie if I've given them a plot? Just like the terms, one or the other. I give you the plot, you give me the title, or you flip it. And you could have them based on what you're ultimately learning about. Let me show you this here. We get to this. This is called Make a Movie. Here's the one where I'm going to ask them to give me the title of a movie. Okay, so I'm going to go to here, and on this slide basically is this. This is the actual plot of a film, and there's a small little animated GIF, just a short little couple of nuggets so they can get a hint of this. Everybody, this is the story of young activists Alice Paul and Lucy Burns, who during the 1910s break from traditional suffragist tactics and created their own radical group. Anyway, and you keep reading all that. Now, everybody, and you can even help them too. You don't know what suffrage is, everybody? That's the right to vote, because women didn't have the right to vote back then. Interesting stuff. So women wanted the right to vote, and these women want to go farther than anybody else has. What do you think the name of this movie could be? Ready, set, go. They get in their groups, and now they're just simply writing the title of a film. This one's a little bit easier because, much like a person's name, they're just going to come up with a movie title. They don't need to write a long description. And that's it. They get all these in, turn them into you, do the same thing. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. I keep the same point system, and then you read them out loud. Is it this one? Is it this one? Is it this one? And do all the scores and all that sort of stuff. And the next answer, and the answer, everybody, is ready? It's called Iron-Jawed Angels. Interesting. Now, the neat part about this, if you're theming it based on what you're learning about, then here, we're learning about the suffrage movement in history. Or you could be there's a lot of science things that you could be discussing or whatnot. So you could be able to tie it in with that. Here are some of the examples that I have for this U.S. history one. This movie is about the D-Day invasion. I got the longest day on there, and I have 13 Days, Cuban Missile Crisis. I don't think many kids know some of these movies. Mississippi Burning. Great films. Some of them aren't necessarily the best films that you could do. You can come up with them. But anyway, that's in essence is that part of it, is that they just need to come up with a title. Now, if you go back to my template, if you notice on my template, by the way, mine's different is because it's not empty. If you're interested, I've given you just movies that don't apply to anything, but I'm pretty clear is not the right word, I bet 99.9% of the kids, and probably some of you may have heard of some of these. Most of these movies, nobody's heard of before. These are relatively towards the really terrible and sort of so bad they're funny. So this could be a good funny little breakup to it. So if you did just want to do content, let's say I'm doing science, and there's not a lot of good science movies to be able to include. Well, just have some fun, goofy ones in here as a breakup to science term and science inventor and science definition, and then have a funny, goofy movie. So here's this. All right, here's a movie about a mobster named Tommy who recently has 8 severed heads. And anyway, in his bag that he has all the heads in got mixed up. What's the name of this movie? Ready, set, go. And then they come up with the thing. Okay, and then you go through your answer and such. Now, the neat part about what I've done here, if you're interested, is, I thought I had it in here. It will. I don't have it in here right now, sorry, but I'm going to have the answer you could put here, but I'm also going to have the trailer to the film itself too. So the kids can watch this 1.5-minute trailer of 8 heads in a duffel bag, which you can see by the Rotten Tomatoes score. I thought those were fun to add in these because these are bad movies. These are movies that did not do very well. And so you can see, hey, 10% Rotten Tomatoes. This was not very good, kind of a thing. And so that in essence is it. I got these just strange plots to movies. Like here's this, about an extraterrestrial comes to Earth and she tries to fall in love with somebody, and here's a picture of her drinking a battery or something like that. And these movie titles I try to pick movie titles that are just weird. This one's called My Stepmother's an Alien, and like I said, I'll have the YouTube one in there. Here's Nuns on the Run. Here's Megaforce. Oh my goodness, Megaforce is just, this little animated GIF when you see a flying motorcycle that takes off is just a hoot. Anyway, I love that. A good old classic 0% Rotten Tomatoes. I love that on Megaforce. Anyway, there's Who's Your Caddy, and here's still Cobra. Anyway, make your own, get rid of them, all that sort of stuff. All right, now I keep boosting up the challenging, and can you do this? The next one's fun, but this requires some more work. Much like the definition, if you give them the word and they need to do a definition, what if we did it for movies the other way? I found some other really kind of bad movies, and here's the bad movie. Ready? I'm going to give you the title. I'm going to give you the movie poster, and I'm going to give you a scene from the film. This is 1996's Santa with Muscles, everybody. Santa with Muscles. So what, I'm asking them, what is Santa with Muscles all about? On the next slide, you can see here is this. There is 6, pretending that you have 6 classes. I've come up with 1 real and 5 fake plots for this particular movie. Now, you could do this 2 different ways. Are your kids interested, capable, ready to be able to write their own? What if I just gave them this And now they can come up with their own and tell them, hey, everybody, you only have about, I forget how many words in this thing, like, 40 words or so, 40, 50 words to be able to write your own little description up, and then have them hand them to you and such. So they come up with, write their own. This will take a little while. So this is a couple things to be careful of. One is, are they able to do it? It's going to pause the game because they're going to have to write for a while to be able to do this and have some fun laughing or whatever. And then the other problem with this one too is that they're going to give these all to you. They're not going to remember. People won't remember them. So I need to. What you possibly want to be able to do here is in this one, have it as this. Do this game where you turn the screen off, you blank the screen, and you take these descriptions, you type them directly into here so that they can all be shown up. And then the kids, like before, they would only have to write down the number. The answer is number 1, the answer is number 4, or something like that. That's an option if you want to be able to have them do that one. I played that, and it was a lot of fun, but it did slow the game down quite a bit. The other option is this. You come up with all the fake ones. It takes the fun creativity away from it, but it does radically speed up the game. So do exactly what I did with Santa with Muscles is you come up with your own, you go find that one, and the answer to this one, by the way, is number 1, evil millionaire, gets amnesia, Santa Claus, Hulk Hogan, all that sort of stuff. And then basically, this is where I did go to AI, had a great time and said, hey, make me a plot, make it this many words, and have it be about literally I said, make it about a retired pro wrestler who works as a Santa, but whatever. Here's another one where he's undercover. Make another one where he's a high school football coach and he's estranged from his kids. Make another one where he's a bodybuilder. And AI will just generate again and again and again tons of these ones. This one's more fun, but you'll prep them all ahead of time. And then, like I mentioned before, here is the answers are revealed with the trailer. So the answer is number 1, and then if you click on that, this then ultimately will bring up that YouTube video of Santa with Muscles. And that's kind of a fun way for them to be able to see the answer. As opposed to just reading it, they get a C. So you can actually, if you want, you can get rid of the number on there, and the kids could just they can be able to guess and say, here's this terrible Hulk Hogan movie, Santa with Muscles, kind of a thing. Anyway, kind of a fun addition to be able to add to all that kind of a stuff. Let me hop back out of there. And you can see these terrible movies. I've included a bunch of terrible ones on there, and these are just really bad. I mean, Gus and Manborg and, Tammy and the T-Rex are just really hilariously terrible movies. In the end, like I said at the very beginning of this is a game for somebody who's wants to be kind of creative. At the most basic is just do terms. That's it, and have some fun with the thing. Add some people. That's great. You want to play with the movie thing? Have some fun with that. I'd love for, as always, to try to be able to get some feedback. How did it work for you in your classroom? If you have any questions, leave a comment down in the YouTube channel like all the kids say. Please don't forget to subscribe and like, and it does some things. I really don't know what it does yet, but that's what they all say. And as always, all my stuff on my Teachers Pay Teachers page. Always enjoy sharing stuff and love to be able to hear back from you guys. As always, have fun. This game is Balderdash, and this has been Ryan the Game Show Guy.